My stepsister and the Marquis of Junbei share a deep bond. For her sake, he even avoids eating female poultry and livestock. Every time my elder brother sees my stepsister, he can't help but sigh, wishing Ninglan were his own sister. Everyone adores her, but no one remembers that the Marquis of Junbei was once my fiancé. He clearly didn't like me, yet he personally requested the imperial decree for our marriage. Then set a trap to catch me in a secret rendezvous, all just to elevate my stepsister to the status of a legitimate daughter. When my chastity was tarnished and I ended my life with a white silk cord, they were celebrating a grand wedding procession spanning 10 miles, envied by all. Afterward, my elder brother knew the truth but chose to conceal it, merely sighing that I was unfortunate and could not compare to Ninglan, reborn on the day of the imperial marriage decree. This time, no one shall have their wish fulfilled. By the decree of heaven and the emperor's command, the eldest daughter of the Jiang family, gentle and virtuous, endowed with wisdom and grace, is hereby betrothed to the Marquis of Junbei. Mother joyfully presented a generous red envelope and saw off the eunuch who had delivered the imperial decree. My daughter will soon be the wife of a marquis. The imperial decree did not mention my name. Because I am the only legitimate daughter of the Jiang family, everyone assumed that this arranged marriage was meant for me. I forced a stiff smile. She didn't realize that she was the only one happy about this marriage. My elder brother said with a stern face, "Mother, Ningxue has a mischievous temperament. Before the marriage, you must properly discipline her so she doesn't cause any embarrassment after she's married off." If only it were Ninglan. Perhaps only I understood his unspoken words. He wished that the one granted the marriage was Ninglan instead. Even though we share the same mother, he clearly prefers the quiet and timid Ninglan. Ninglan would timidly call him brother and thoughtfully sew pouches, shoes, and socks for him. As for me, all I know is eating, drinking, and having fun. I looked at Ninglan beside me, the youngest girl in the family, although she is a daughter of a concubine. She was raised by the old lady since childhood and has never lacked for food, clothing, or other necessities. Today, she was wearing a light-colored brocade dress with subtle patterns, understated yet luxurious, making her appear exceptionally elegant and lovely. However, she had always been timid before, and I had never paid much attention to her. At this moment, there was no joy on her face either. Of course, she had long been secretly involved with the Marquis of Junbei. And now others were congratulating me instead. Naturally, she wasn't happy. I sat in front of the mirror and touched my neck. It was as fair as jade, without the terrifying blue and purple bruises from my past life. In my previous life, also on this day, the Marquis of Junbei went to request the imperial decree for marriage without consulting me. At that time, I had already fallen for Song Yurong, but I knew that the imperial decree could not be defied. I couldn't bring harm to my entire family because of my own feelings, so I suppressed all my emotions and prepared to dutifully become the wife of the Marquis of Junbei. Just as I was cutting ties with Song Yurong, I encountered the Marquis of Junbei, who was out for a stroll with my elder brother. He flew into a rage on the spot, declaring that the Jiang family looked down on him. He is the emperor's confidant, the youngest marquis in the dynasty. The Jiang family cannot afford to offend him. My father was so furious that he nearly beat me to death. Later, it was the old lady who made the decision. My reputation is tarnished, and the Marquis of Junbei would not be willing to marry me. Yet we cannot defy the imperial decree. Let Ninglan be recorded as the legitimate daughter and married to the Marquis of Junbei. At that time, we will provide a generous dowry, which can be considered as compensation for both Ninglan and the Marquis of Junbei. It really has to be the old lady. Without you, this household would truly fall apart, father said ingratiatingly. I didn't like Ninglan, but I still felt sorry for her. The trouble I caused made her clean up my mess and even implicated Song Yurong. Father cursed me, asking why I didn't just die. And my brother blamed me for having no sense of shame. A white silk rope became my final fate. After death, I did not reincarnate but instead drifted around the Jiang residence. Ninglan shed a tear over my death. Second sister was truly pitiful. The old lady held her and comforted her, saying, "Lana is just too kind-hearted. It's also Ning Shue's fault for not knowing how to behave. Since childhood, She has always flaunted her status as the legitimate daughter to bully you, and now she has done something so disgraceful to the family. As for the Marquis of Junbei, he actually went to such lengths for you. He truly is a good man. Ninglan nodded shyly. He knows I've been bullied because I'm a child of a concubine, so now he has secured the status of a legitimate daughter for me. But will mother be willing? The old lady smiled faintly. Her daughter did such a thing, how could she have the face to object? Besides, when I returned to our hometown last time to pay respects to our ancestors, I already changed your status to that of a legitimate daughter. Listening from the side, I felt my heart and soul shatter. What a deeply affectionate grandmother and granddaughter pair. So they had long known about what the Marquis of Junbei had done. Usually, they would say, when one prospers, all prosper, when one suffers, all suffer, but at the critical moment, they allowed an outsider to ruin my reputation. If Song Yurong and I are considered shameless, then she and the Marquis of Junbei must be seen as having a profound bond. The Marquis of Junbei wanted to make Ninglan his legitimate daughter, but Ninglan had already become one long ago, without anyone knowing. Why go through all this trouble to scheme against me? Mother would definitely not agree. If I die, mother and my elder brother will surely investigate everything and not let the Marquis of Junbei have his way. I drifted toward mother's courtyard. Mother, Ningxue is already dead. The most important thing now is to ensure the marriage alliance with the Marquis of Junbei remains intact. My brother showed no trace of sorrow in his eyes, as if the deceased were merely an insignificant stranger. He earnestly persuaded our mother to give the dowry originally prepared for me to Ninglan, so that Ninglan would have more confidence. Though mother's eyes were swollen from crying, she still agreed under my brother's persuasion. After all, the Marquis of Junbei held a high position and could help my brother advance in the future. Such are the bonds of family. I watched numbly as I was hastily buried. Half a year later, the entire household joyfully sent Ninglan off to her wedding, with a dowry stretching for 10 miles, making everyone envious. Looking at the vibrant face in the mirror, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Ha ha, ha ha ha, miss, what's wrong with you? I curled my lips. It's nothing. I just thought of something amusing. Every day, my mother would pull me aside and tell me about the dowry she had prepared for me. Today it was a pearl necklace from the Jewel Pavilion. Tomorrow it would be a brocade gown from the Rainbow Attire Pavilion. Unlike in my previous life, I didn't feel reluctant or unwilling. Instead, I joyfully showed off my dowry every day. My elder brother frowned and scolded me. How can you be so shameless? Why can't you learn to be as composed as Lana? Ninglan still smiled timidly and said, Sister's liveliness is what makes her adorable. I suppose the Marquis of Junbei prefers someone like her. Her eyes could not hide the anxiety. She was afraid I would really marry the Marquis of Junbei. That day, I received a letter from Song Yurong, saying he was not worthy of me and asking me to forget our relationship. He just wanted to see me one last time to bring closure. I burned the letter without any expression on my face. In my previous life, when we met at the Xianghua Temple, we were discovered by the Marquis of Junbei and my elder brother, when I ended my life with a white silk cord. I was still worried about whether I would implicate him. Later, with the support of the Marquis of Junbei, he rose in rank and became wealthy. Once, while drunk, the Marquis of Junbei said to him, Brother, Jiang Ningxue is dead. I owe you a wife. But rest assured, I will definitely compensate you with one. It turned out that he had long been in cahoots with the Marquis of Junbei, which was how he coincidentally witnessed our secret meeting. The purpose was to bring our affair into the open, so that I, a disgraced legitimate daughter, would have to marry him, allowing him to control me in the future. Although I died, through the Marquis of Junbei's manipulations, Song Yurong accidentally encountered a legitimate daughter of an official family changing her clothes, and the two were forced to become engaged. The legitimate daughter was gentle and virtuous, but after marriage, she was tormented by Song's mother until she had a miscarriage. Song Yurong used this as an excuse to take in dozens of beautiful concubines. On the day mentioned in the letter, I did not go. Instead, I sat quietly in my boudoir, placing the prepared spices into a sachet. My failure to keep the appointment made Song Yurong anxious, and he sent another letter. Only when the mountains crumble and the heavens and earth merge will I dare part from you. Ningxue, I have no other desires left, only hoping to see you one last time to end my longing. Love's madness is innate in this world. This sorrow has nothing to do with the wind or the moon. When the 7th letter was burned, the Marquis of Junbei could no longer sit still and personally ask to meet with me. I still refused. There will be plenty of opportunities to meet after the wedding. Now that I have little time left at home, I just want to spend it with my parents and fulfill my filial duties. The Marquis of Junbei had no way to refute such a reason. He wanted to expose the matter between me and Song Yurong, but he couldn't make a scene that would damage the reputation of the entire Jiang family and implicate his beloved Ninglan. If he wanted Ninglan to receive everyone's guilt and compensation, while also ensuring I obediently followed his plan, this matter could only be exposed by the Jiang family themselves. It's impossible for my father and mother to do such a thing, and the old lady prides herself on being fair. So she wouldn't openly do something like this either. That leaves only one person. My elder brother took out the lotus seed cake from Drunken Immortal Pavilion and placed it in front of me. Ningxue, why haven't you been going out lately? I picked up a piece of hibiscus cake and took a bite. The hibiscus cake is a famous pastry from the Drunken Immortal Pavilion, with only 20 portions sold each day, requiring a long queue to obtain. In the past, I never had such treatment. Brother always said I wasn't steady enough and feared I might cause embarrassment after marriage. I think he's right, so I'm taking this time to properly learn etiquette and temper my disposition. In the blink of an eye, you're about to get married. I've been reflecting lately and realized I was too strict with you in the past. Ningxue, don't worry, no matter what happens, I will always be your support. After marriage, you won't have as much freedom as you do at home. Take advantage of this time to go out and relax a bit more. Such heartfelt words are the first I have ever heard in both my past and present lives. Seeing the concern and reluctance all over his face, I was reminded of the day Ninglan married the Marquis of Junbei in my previous life. He was dead drunk, muttering under his breath, Lana, Lana, the Marquis of Junbei truly cares for you. He went through great hardships to secure you the status of a legitimate daughter. Ningxue is also dead, so from now on, no one will ever compete with you for anything again. You will live a happy life. He knew that the Marquis of the North had set me up, yet he still considered the Marquis a friend. My death meant nothing in his eyes. He even felt relieved that my death would only benefit Ninglan. I don't understand why he is so indifferent to his own sister, until I saw the unconcealable pain in his eyes when he called out Ninglan's name. I seemed to understand. Ha ha ha. How absurd this is. He is still earnestly trying to persuade me. I lowered my eyes, pretending to know nothing. Since you say so, brother, I'll go out to relax. Brother, in our previous life, all of you got what you wished for. In this life, it's my turn to have my wishes fulfilled. Although I haven't become smarter since my rebirth and couldn't find a way out for myself, fortunately, I've cut off everyone's escape routes. Behind the Xianghua Temple, there is a peach blossom grove. It was March, and the peach blossoms were blooming profusely, falling in a flurry. When I arrived, I saw Song Yurong standing under the tree, tall and graceful, the very picture of refinement and elegance. Who would have thought that beneath such a gentlemanly appearance lay a filthy and despicable heart? Ningxue, you've finally come. Step by step, I walked forward and, under his affectionate gaze, I tightened my grip on the hairpin and plunged it into his chest. In this world, all those who harm women using chaste means deserve to die. I'm here to send you off, on your journey to the underworld. Remember who killed you. Without waiting for him to say anything, I pushed him off the cliff. I had coated the hairpin with beast-attracting powder, so even if he survived the fall, he might get to experience the feeling of being eaten alive by wild animals. I cleared away all traces, then peacefully admired the flowers under the tree. A quarter of an hour later, the Marquis of Junbei arrived with my brother for a stroll. Seeing me alone, both of them were very surprised. Miss Jiang II, how come you're alone? Marquis of Junbei, you jest. Who else would be with me? Could it be that I'm having a secret rendezvous with someone else? I covered my mouth and chuckled lightly. Not at all, not at all. It's just that it's unsafe for a young lady to go out alone. Miss Jiang II, you should have someone accompany you." The Marquis of Junbei laughed heartily, showing no trace that a general who fought on the battlefield could be so skilled in domestic scheming, with such underhanded methods. We chatted for a while, but the Marquis of Junbei kept looking around, never catching sight of the person he wanted to see. "Hey, Song Yurong is already at the bottom of the cliff, perhaps being torn apart by wild beasts at this very moment." I watched the two of them with a smile, thinking about what was to come next, my heart boiling with excitement. "Meeting by chance is fate, if you don't mind, my lord. Would you like to have a cup of tea together?" Xianghua Temple has separate courtyards specifically for resting high-ranking officials and nobles who come to offer incense, with a calm expression. I gracefully brewed tea for them, and they absent-mindedly finished it in one sip. "Please wait here for a moment. I also made peach blossom cakes for you both to try." Seeing their faces already flushed, I thoughtfully closed the door for them. "Who says only women care about chastity? I want to see if they can still remain good brothers after something like this happens." A quarter of an hour later, hearing the commotion inside from the doorway, I grinned, took a deep breath, and let out a scream that echoed throughout the Xianghua Temple. "Ah, what's going on? What happened here? Did a thief break in?" Passing pilgrims heard the noise and approached one after another. Hearing the faint sounds from inside the room, everyone had a rough idea of what was happening. The wife of Censor Chen next to me recognized me. "Isn't this Miss Jiang? What's inside?" I just covered my face and wept, unable to utter a single word. "Whoever it is, anyone who does such a thing in Xianghua Temple deserves to die. Someone, break the door down." Inside the room was a nauseating smell. Everyone covered their noses as they entered, only to see an enormous bed. "This is the Marquis of Junbei and the eldest son of the Jiang family." The Marquis of Junbei is a rising star in the imperial court, and his elder brother is famously upright and principled, so many people know them. One is Miss Jiang's elder brother, and the other is Miss Jiang's fiancé. Let's go and fetch Lord Jiang instead." The two on the bed also woke up, seeing everything before them. The Marquis of Junbei glared at me with murderous eyes. "Second Miss Jiang, what a ruthless trick." I just covered my mouth and sobbed. You, how shameless. "Now that things have come to this, are you trying to silence me by killing me?" The crowd clamored. "Marquis of Junbei, why threaten a young girl like this? We all saw what happened today. Do you think you can kill all of us? Miss Jiang, you must try to accept this." In the chaos, my father and mother hurried over and took us away. In the Jiang family hall, my father sat at the head with a gloomy expression, while my mother looked dazed, still unable to believe what she had seen. Her perfect, promising eldest son had actually stolen his sister's fiancé. Heavens, what is all this? The Marquis of Junbei recounted the events. How could the second Jiang daughter be so cruel and shameless, so short-sighted and devoid of familial affection, to use such despicable means to frame her own family? Truly vile and utterly detestable. My elder brother was utterly grief-stricken. As a civil official, how could he ever hold his head high in court after such a scandal? "Ningxue, what have I ever done to wrong you that you would seek to ruin my entire life?" When father learned of this, he was so enraged he nearly killed me. He slapped me across the face and shouted, "You wretched creature, I should have strangled you at birth. I raised you with the finest food and drink, and this is how you repay me, by trying to destroy our Jiang family. I'm not going to stand there and take a hit." I dodged it by tilting my head. The mother cried out in anguish, "What is all this for? How did our once happy family end up like this? Ha ha ha, of course, it's because they plotted against me first." The Marquis of Junbei is in love with Ninglan. He knew full well that I had someone I loved, yet he deliberately sought to marry me, then conspired with my brother to catch me in an affair and ruin my reputation. That way, the Jiang family would feel guilty towards him, and they could make Ninglan the legitimate daughter and marry her off to him with a grand dowry. My brother clearly knew the truth, but for the sake of Ninglan and to build a good relationship with the Marquis of Junbei, not only did he not tell me, but he repeatedly encouraged me to go out, just to give the Marquis an opportunity to catch me in the act. "Brother, am I not your sister? How dare you have the nerve to question me?" I held no grudge against them. yet for their own selfish interests, they used the most malicious method against a woman to harm me. If the Marquis of Junbei hadn't been skilled in martial arts, I would have pushed him off the cliff at Xianghua Temple long ago to keep Song Yurong company. The scene fell into complete silence. The truth was too bizarre for everyone to accept. Mother asked my elder brother in disbelief, "Is this true?" At this point, there was no use in hiding it any longer. My elder brother said gravely, "Mother, I did this for Ningshua's own good. Her temperament is too unruly. She is not suited to marry into the Marquis's household." I clapped my hands and said, "Well said, elder brother. A family should love and care for one another. Since you've been thinking of me, I'm simply returning the favor. You've always wanted to build a good relationship with the Marquis of Junbei, but marrying off one sister isn't a guarantee. Now that you and the Marquis have this kind of connection, he will sincerely promote you." My elder brother's face turned ashen. With this kind of relationship, the faction of upright officials would never accept him again. Over a decade of hard study had been utterly destroyed in a single day. The mother looked left and right, then let out a sharp cry and lunged at Ninglan, who had been too afraid to make a sound. "It's all because of you, you little wretch. If it weren't for you, how could my son's future be completely ruined?" Seeing Ninglan being slapped several times, the old lady could no longer sit still. "Stop this. What kind of behavior is all this commotion? What does this have to do with Lana?" It was Ning Shui who lacked self-restraint and had an affair with someone else first, which gave others the opportunity to take advantage. The old lady looked at me with contempt. "Ning Shui, not only do you show no remorse, but you also plotted against your own brother. Do you understand the principle that when one is honored, all are honored? And when one is disgraced, all are disgraced? If the Jiang family's reputation is ruined, what good outcome will you have?" I immediately smashed the teacup. "Old woman, stop pretending to be innocent here. I haven't even gotten to you yet. The Jiang family isn't a marketplace. If even father and mother didn't know about it, how did the Marquis of Junbei find out? It was none other than your precious Lana who spilled the beans when she was spreading her own sister's scandal. Why didn't she think about how we rise and fall together? The Marquis of Junbei is having an affair with her. Why aren't you saying she lacks propriety? You, the old lady who always preaches about rules, weren't you covering up for them all along? I am a person who seeks fame and has no sense of shame. How dare you talk about rules?" The old lady was so angry she nearly fell backward. "You're talking nonsense. Lana is not that kind of person. Stop slandering her here," I sneered coldly. "Whether it's nonsense or not, we'll know after a search. Two people deeply in love must have exchanged plenty of letters and gifts." The old lady and Ninglan turned pale but didn't dare to argue any further. Upon hearing that each of his daughters had secret affairs, and even the old lady was involved, the father was so angry that he didn't know who to curse. The Marquis of Junbei, however, gazed affectionately at Ninglan. "At this point, I won't hide it anymore. It's Ninglan I truly wish to marry. After all, the imperial decree has been issued, and the marriage alliance between our two families is inevitable." Ninglan was so moved that her eyes welled up with tears. Although the Marquis had schemed against her sister and insulted her beloved brother, he had done it all for her. How could such deep affection not be touching? The father was so furious he nearly fainted. "If you truly liked Ninglan, why didn't you just say so? Do you think I would have refused? Now, after causing all this trouble, you still dare to bring up the marriage alliance?" The old lady coughed lightly and said, "I think the Marquis of Junbei truly cares for Ninglan. Since the matter is already settled, why not just let them be together?" Although she had lost one grandson and one granddaughter, her most beloved was Ninglan. The others didn't matter. The Jiang family's reputation was on the verge of collapse. If they didn't hold on to the Marquis of Junbei, Ninglan would never find such a powerful family in the future. At this point, the old lady no longer cared if others accused her of favoritism. Father has always cared most about the prosperity of the Jiang family. Now that his most promising son is ruined, the only way to strengthen the Jiang family is through a marriage alliance. Now that the Marquis of Junbei feels indebted to the Jiang family, with this leverage in hand, there's no fear that he won't support the Jiang family. Seeing that father was tempted, mother immediately flew into a rage. Every single one of you in the Jiang family is a heartless, ungrateful wretch. My son and daughter are both ruined, and you want Ninglan to climb over their backs to rise in status. Dream on. I will never agree to have Ninglan recorded as a legitimate daughter. If she wants to marry the Marquis of Zhenbei, she can go as a concubine." The old lady revealed a triumphant smile. "Last time I returned to our hometown to pay respects to our ancestors, I already registered Ninglan under your name, making her a legitimate daughter. The Marquis of Zhenbei wants to marry her, and none of you can stop it. It's better to be generous and let them be together." Upon hearing this, everyone's faces darkened. Father stepped forward and kicked Ninglan to the ground. If it weren't for the pressure of filial piety, this kick would have landed on the old lady herself. The Marquis of Zhenbei wants to marry Ninglan by making her a legitimate daughter, and the old lady has already registered Ninglan as a legitimate daughter. You have been in contact, having an affair. If you had just communicated, none of today's events would have happened. Do you think everyone else is a fool? Yes, something that could have ended happily for everyone. Yet they had to sacrifice others just to prove how deep their bond is. Now look where we are. Let's all forget about saving face. The whole family is being publicly shamed together. The old lady finally realized she was in the wrong and was speechless for a long time. She had always considered herself the wisest in the family, believing everything was under her control, never expecting that I could stir up so much trouble. The elder brother looked at everyone with resentment, feeling that all his efforts for Ninglan were nothing but a joke, but he didn't know yet it wasn't even time for him to cry. The next day, the imperial censor impeached the eldest son of the Jiang family, Jiang Ruozhu, for lacking moral character, having improper private conduct, and showing contempt for the emperor's grace. Those affairs between men were actually not a big deal. If word got out, it would just be one more romantic scandal. The trouble is, the other party is her future brother-in-law, and what's more, this marriage was personally arranged by the emperor. To put it harshly, Jiang Ruozhu's actions show a disregard for the imperial decree, which could warrant execution. Her father pleaded desperately in the imperial court, but the dignity of the royal family could not be violated. The emperor immediately stripped her brother of his official rank, barring him from ever holding office again. The Marquis of Zhenbei was also severely impeached by the censor. The emperor had long been troubled by the Marquis's excessive power, and now with a ready-made excuse, he stripped him of his military authority and ordered him to reflect on his mistakes at home. When the news reached the Jiang family, their mother fainted on the spot, and Jiang Ruozhu felt like strangling me. "Jiang Ningxue, are you satisfied with my current state?" I grinned and said, "Brother, why would you say that? Everything I've done is for your own good." Hearing you speak like this, I truly have no way to defend myself. Jiang Ruozhu rolled his eyes and also fainted. The rumors in the capital grew increasingly intense, with some people confidently claiming they had long seen through Jiang Ruozhu as a hypocrite. I heard that the Marquis of Zhenbei is actually in love with the Jiang family's illegitimate daughter. He fell for her at first sight. And all this fuss is just to openly and properly ask for her hand in marriage. Fake news. Who would be so crazy? She's just an illegitimate daughter. Why would he go through all this trouble just to marry her? Your information is outdated. According to my seventh uncle's wife's nephew's aunt's cousin's sister, the Marquis of Zhenbei has long been exchanging flirtatious glances with Jiang Ruozhu. The reason he's seeking to marry the Jiang family's legitimate daughter is because the sister resembles her brother, so it's a case of the substitute resembling the beloved. At the same time, major bookstores in the capital were booming. Titles like My Brother Above and I Unfasten My Brother's Battle Robe were in such high demand that the supply couldn't keep up. Counting the shiny silver coins, I couldn't stop smiling and decided to stay up all night to write a few more books. The Jiang family's reputation hit rock bottom. A young lady who had once considered an engagement with my brother hastily arranged another marriage. Noble women no longer sent invitations to the Jiang family. My father's hair has turned much grayer, and my mother sighs deeply every day, refusing to see me anymore. She does love me, but compared to Jiang Ruozhu, I am not as important. Everyone in the family wishes I were dead, but they dare not act now. Afraid of giving others another chance to laugh at us, And I don't regret anything I've done in the slightest. Why is it that when I make a mistake, I get exposed and have to pay the price, while their schemes and plots can be kept hidden forever? We rise and fall together. I repeated this phrase silently and laughed out loud. How true it is, a family should always stick together. 6 months later, Jiang Ninglan still married the Marquis of Zhunbei, after weathering many storms. The lovers were finally united. However, this time, there was no grand ceremony like in the previous life. Only a handful of people came to witness the wedding, and the dowry consisted of shabby items merely used to fill the numbers. Before stepping out the door, Jiang Ninglan looked at me with pride, her eyes and brows no longer showing the timidity of the past. Second sister, let me give you a piece of advice. Those who commit many wrongdoings will inevitably bring about their own downfall. I recall in my previous life, she and the Marquis of Zhunbei shared a deep love after marriage. For her sake, the Marquis never glanced at another woman again and replaced all the servants around him with men. He even refused to eat female poultry or livestock. Everyone in the capital admired her for her skill in managing her husband. I gave her a half smile and a sidelong glance. Once, I had been harmed by chastity, so naturally, I didn't want to use the same method against a woman. But that didn't mean I was going to let her off the hook. Dear sister, I've left you a grand gift. I hope you like it. 3 days after the wedding, when she returned to her family home, Ninglan's face couldn't hide her exhaustion. The Marquis of Zhunbei turned a blind eye, simply drinking one cup after another. Not a single laugh could be heard throughout the entire banquet, only I, eating with hearty relish. After the meal, the Marquis of Zhunbei and Jiang Ruozhu went to the front courtyard. The old lady quickly comforted Ninglan. Most men in this world are fickle-hearted. You must keep your composure. Once you give birth to a legitimate son, everything will be fine. When Ninglan heard the words legitimate son, tears fell from her eyes. On their wedding night, the Marquis of Zhunbei had stormed off in anger and had never entered her room again. The old lady, unaware of the true reason, thought the Marquis was taking out his anger on Ninglan because of the Emperor's reprimand. And so she taught her many ways to win people over. No man is immune to the allure of beauty. As a proper wife, if you arrange a few concubines for him, in time, he will naturally come to appreciate your virtues. As long as no illegitimate children are born, concubines are nothing more than lowly playthings. They can't stir up any real trouble. Ninglan nodded with tears in her eyes. But just a month later, the Marquis of Zhunbei grew even more debauched. Ignoring the women in his household and instead visiting the Southern Breeze Pavilion, it was then that Ninglan realized something was amiss. She immediately rushed to the Jiang family's home, weeping and causing a scene. Jiang Ningxue, it was you who harmed the Marquis. Hehe, it was a rare opportunity. That day, I not only administered a drug that causes confusion and passion, but I also slipped in some infertility medicine and impotence drugs all at once. It was because I needed to find these drugs that I delayed going out for so long, giving them the chance to catch the affair. I was initially worried that the drugs wouldn't be effective, but now I can finally rest assured. I pouted my lips. Sister, you're slandering me like this. I don't know what to say. Ninglan frantically lunged at me, looking deranged. Jiang Ningxue, you'll get your retribution. I have no grudge against you. Why are you so cruel to harm me? I immediately dodged, watching her fall to the ground in a sorry state. Although she and the Marquis of Zhunbei could no longer share a deep marital bond in this life, the Marquis of Zhunbei remained as indifferent to women as in the previous life. Thinking about it this way, she hadn't really lost anything. I won't let you get away with this. Jiang Ningxue, Ninglan left after uttering those harsh words. Within days, rumors began circulating in the capital that the legitimate daughter of the Jiang family had engaged in an illicit affair and caused her lover's death. Coinciding with the discovery of Song Yurong's remains, everyone speculated that I was the one who had killed him. Hehe, guessed right. But unfortunately there's no evidence. When Song Yurong met me, he avoided others. When he went out, I had someone search his room. The letters we exchanged had long been destroyed. No one can prove that I was the last person he saw. There is no evidence to prove that I killed him. After the officials from the capital prefecture came to ask a few questions, the The case was closed. It was concluded that Song Yurong accidentally fell off the cliff. Mother finally saw me, her eyes filled with both hatred and reluctance. Ning Shui, at this point, the rest of your life is already ruined. Is it worth it? I smiled and said, Mother, would you like to hear a story? Decades of living as a lonely, wandering ghost had already driven me mad. Now, no matter how bad things get, they can't possibly get any worse. Jiang Ruozhu snapped out of his melancholy and decided to marry a girl from a humble background, have a son, and raise the next generation, only to discover that he had become a useless man. The Jiang family could no longer tolerate me because of this. On the day I left the Jiang family, only my mother came to see me off. I gave her one last hug, then walked away without looking back. She would be heartbroken, and then slowly forget me, just as she had in my previous life. Chun Dao asked me, Miss, where are we going? I took her into a Taoist temple, which I had bought with the private savings I had accumulated from selling my illustrated storybooks. From now on, call me Taoist priest. You are my chief disciple. The Qingfeng temple was small and dilapidated, which was why I could afford it. That night, Chun Dao and I hid in the cellar, narrowly escaping our assassination. I knew these were assassins sent by the Marquis of Northern Garrison. He resented me for drugging him and turning him into a eunuch. When I was still in the Jiang family, he couldn't easily make a move, but now he finally found his chance. Chun Dao trembled as she said, Miss, we must flee quickly, far away from here. I patted her head and said, no rush. The next day, I finally met the person I had been waiting to see, Lord Zhong from the Imperial Astronomical Bureau. Miss Jiang, is what you said true? A few days ago, I had sent him a letter, warning that the embankment in Huayan County would collapse by the end of the month, causing countless casualties. At first, Lord Zhong didn't believe it. It wasn't until yesterday, when news of continuous heavy rain in Huayan County for half a month reached the capital, that Lord Zhong finally took it seriously. In my previous life, as a wandering ghost, I had heard of these major events, and I remember clearly the county of Huarian, where corpses lay everywhere. I firmly told him, it is absolutely true. If my words are false, I am willing to accept any punishment. My only request is that you, Lord Zhong, find a way to protect me. Lord Zhong pondered for a moment and then nodded. At the end of the month, the dam in Huarian County burst just as I had predicted. Because the residents had been evacuated in advance, the casualties were minimal. The emperor praised me and bestowed upon me the title, Virtuous Daoist Priest. Qingfeng Temple became a renowned Daoist temple far and wide, magnificently restored and imposing, and my life was also secured. Within the imperial palace, I delivered my second prophecy to the emperor. Next May, a great drought will strike Dengju, leaving the land barren for 1,000 miles. One prophecy after another was issued, and no one in the capital dared to look down on me anymore. When Spring Peach told me that people in the common folk had erected a longevity tablet in my honor, my heart stirred, and the gloom of past and present lives gradually faded away. That day, the sky was clear, and the light shone for thousands of miles. Extra. The former Marquis of the North, Xiao Yu, had long been stripped of his title under the pressure of Jiang Ningxue, and the Marquis's residence became the Xiao residence. To conceal the fact that he had become a cripple, Xiao Yu publicly declared that he and Jiang Ninglan were deeply in love and that he would never take a second wife in this lifetime. Even though Jiang Ninglan had not borne any children in 3 years, Xiao Yu did not mind in the slightest. The ladies in the capital all envied Jiang Ninglan for her good fortune. Madam Xiao, I heard that Lord Xiao has dismissed all his concubines and remains devoted only to you. He truly is one in a million. A remarkable man. Jiang Ninglan forced a stiff smile. What could she say? Should she reveal that although there were no concubines at home, he kept a group of male favorites instead? He treats you so well. You should be content. At the very least, you ought to give him an heir. I have a secret recipe for conceiving a son here. Take it back and try it. I guarantee it will work. Once again hearing such urging to have children, Jiang Ninglan fled in a panic, returning to the Xiao residence. She was greeted by the carefree Xiao Yu. Oh, back so early. Why not stay longer and listen to more of their flattery? Jiang Ninglan looked at the man sneering at her in front of her, her heart growing cold. Clearly, she had done nothing wrong, so why had she ended up in this situation? Thinking of all the compromises she had made over the years, she finally couldn't hold back and shouted, "I don't even mind that you're a useless person, so why do you keep pushing me so hard?" Xiao Yu sneered coldly, "What right do you have to mind me? If it weren't for you constantly showing me how wronged you were in front of me, why would I have schemed against Jiang Ningxue and ended up being ruined by her? All of this is because of you." Jiang Ninglan's face turned pale. "I never asked you to do those things." Haha, Jiang Ninglan, what are you still pretending for? If you didn't want me to do it, then why did you tell me about your own sister's private affairs? Admit it. You were very happy when you found out I was scheming against Jiang Ningxue for you, weren't you? Jiang Ninglan couldn't find the words to refute him because what he said was true. The two of them hated each other, yet they could only remain entangled like this. The once lively Jiang residence no longer held any laughter or joy. The old lady had become truly alone, while Jiang Ruozhu drowned her sorrows in drink every day, and the most clear-headed of them all was Madame Jiang. Now Jiang Ningxue had become the Taoist priest favored by the emperor, saving countless lives. After she sent a few things to Madame Jiang, the Jiang family understood her intentions. No one in the Jiang family dared to look down on her. They all hoped to ease tensions with Jiang Ningxue through her, so that the Jiang family could return to its former state. Yet, Madame Jiang simply sat quietly in the Buddhist hall. She had married into the Jiang family so many years ago, given birth to children, supported her husband, and raised her family. But now, her children were turning against each other, and the family was falling apart. It wasn't until her daughter told her a story that she understood. The causes of the past life bear fruit in the present. Why force what isn't meant to be? Later, Jiang Ningxue sent a letter. "Mother, the spring waters of Jiangnan are green, would you like to go together?" Lady Jiang finally let go of her worries and, with tears in her eyes, asked the nanny to pack their luggage, over 40 years old, and only now did she get to see the spring scenery. Fortunately, the spring scenery remained as beautiful as ever. The full text is complete.